Kelly with Charles Ellis and Richard Pierre. We're discussing politics and, of course, tonight's GOP presidential debate, which is going to be interesting, to say the least. Before we take another call, would either one of you like to say anything?
I'd like to give a nice hello to Melanie Spann Cooper, the owner of the radio station, because I met Pierre years ago at a Jesse Jackson function. A friend of mine works for Jesse Jackson, and I met Pierre, and it was always nice to me. So I just want to say hello to Pierre Cooper and Melanie Spann Cooper. Richard from Toledo, say hey.
That's very nice. That's great, Richard. Okay. Let's go to another caller. From the south side. Andre, thanks for holding. Go right ahead.
How you doing? Hello to the guests.
Hello, sir.
First thing I want to do is I'd like to disagree with Steve on saying that the Republicans want to put Ben Carson out there because it's much easier to become a black Thursday than a black president of the United States. So if anybody should be the example, it should have been Barack Obama for pulling himself up from their bootstraps. Second of all, I heard Trump on television when a question was posed to him on how he felt about affirmative action, and he didn't say whether he went with it or not, but he said that he does believe that there will be a time in which we don't need affirmative action, which I think we all could agree we do need affirmative action. And then lastly, Ben Carson being a Seventh-day Adventist, do you all think that a person's religion should matter if they're going to run the country and would their religion influence the policies that they will put into the United States?
Thank you so much, John. You know, that 7-day Adventist thing, Richard, Trump played with it. He just said he didn't know what it meant, but he's, he knows what he is. But what did you think about that?
I think Trump is lying on that I go to church thing. It looks totally fake to me. I think he's just playing the crowd because, I mean, all these guys, let's say Christian evangelicals, to be critical of, my people, they'll sit up and they'll go, everything is religion, everything is God. But Trump has multiple marriages. He has a bunch. He's almost a pornographer, almost. So it's almost like they're looking at it like, oh, I like him. I think he's just playing the game with him. I don't necessarily buy any of that. I think he's totally lying on it. But it's working, so got to roll with it. But one thing I would like to say, like one of the callers said that Hillary Clinton have an easy time. Personally, I think, and Cliff, I would like to bet you $1, brother. The $1 from Trading Places that if it's Carson and Trump, I think they beat Hillary Clinton.
Okay, that's interesting. Charles, what did you think about that, the religion thing?
Oh, you mean as far as Carson's, I'm sorry I cut out for a minute as far as Carson's comments on, I didn't catch that, man. I had to actually go back.
Oh, okay. Well, we're talking about, Andre, the caller, was talking about the fact that Obama pulled himself up by his bootstraps, other than what Carson is talking about. But also, he was saying that Trump said, we don't really need, if we have it now, we won't need it in the future, affirmative action. But also, you mentioned this thing about the religion and Seventh-day Adventist. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's all sort of, once again, lunacy as far as the rhetoric. That's all part of Trump's kind of modus operandi, and it's just sort of shock value politics that, in terms of, like, for example, now I do appreciate it's kind of keeping it real on affirmative action because, we talked about this before in the program, Cliff. That's what's being phased out. Affirmative action is being phased out,
right.
But that's also something that plays very well with the Republican electorate as well, and also, taking shots at religions like Islam or Seventh-day Adventists. It's all about, taking shots at what are perceived as marginal demographics by that particular electorate, by Trump's base. Trump has a real big problem there in terms of how he relates to and how he fires up this base. When you look at polling data, these are folks, the majority of Trump supporters are people who believe the president was born in Kenya, or that he's not Christian, he's actually Muslim. So it's this kind. But you got to give him credit for it in terms of using, this shock value politics to get this base, basically, cheering for him and putting him in a position in the polls. Once again, I'm still a skeptic on how that's going to translate into votes come the primaries, particularly on Super Tuesday, because you got to look at those Republican primary voters who are actually going to the polls. And like I said, 2012 cycle, only 17% of them turned out.
You know, one interesting thing you just said, it brings us back to another Carson statement when he said he didn't think a Muslim should be president of the United States. Richard, I think he tried to back off of that, though, didn't he?
Yeah, I think.
Real quick, Cliff, though, I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no problem. Go ahead, brother. It's cool.
35%, you know what, 35% of black slaves who came here were Muslim. So, you know, more than likely, Ben Carson himself might be the descendant of black Muslims who came over here as African slaves. So, I mean, another thing is Nation of Islam was founded in Detroit, so he should know better to make a statement like that.
That's true. It was in Detroit, yeah.
That's an excellent point. But what I believe Trump is going to do, you know, to segue back a little bit, you know, personally, I don't think religion matters, you know, because most people really ain't going too much anyway, except for my grandmother or something. But other than that, but what I think Trump is going to do, he has a problem with all minorities. But what he's going to do, Trump has $5 to $10 billion. And then he probably has other money at his disposal too. He's going to drop an unprecedented amount of money in black media. I bet you he'd do it because he don't care. He got that much money. Let's say if he drops a ton of money on a radio station, you can change anybody.
Call him and tell him to do that, Richard. WVON 1690.
Yeah, I call Pierre. Have Pierre call me. We'll work it out. I'll get you some of that money, Cliff. I'll get it for you, brother, because honestly, I love what WVON do, but I don't think Trump is stupid. He does know some black people, unlike the rest of them. They don't know any black people.
Yeah.
Even Carson's whole squad.
They
know black people. They just they know the same kind of black people.
Yeah, the truth.
The kind of black Republicans they're going to all the time.
Excellent point.
That's the problem.
I want you both to tell me, Charles, you first, then Richard. Got 30 seconds each, or 45 seconds. What's the big deal tonight? What's going to be the big news?
Big news tonight is going to be how Trump spars with the moderators at CNBC. He's already been giving us hints that that's what he wants to do because he knows he gave very modest performances at the last two debates. So here's where he's going to make his comeback.
Gotcha. Richard?
I don't know, man. He might take his clothes off and run around naked. Who knows with this dude? But it's either that or he gonna be Mr. Dignified. So either way, I think it's gonna be fun. And Cliff, man, it's a real pleasure to be on your show, man. Have me back again. I love black people, and I hate all the other black Republicans that talk about all this. They don't see racism. Well, the police see Richard Fair. I see them, and they see me. So I love what you do, Cliff. So it's a real pleasure.
Thanks so much, Richard. We'll make sure to tell our wonderful owners that you're saying hello, okay?
Tell Pierre to call me, man. He ain't call you. Act like he don't know nobody. You know they got an elevator in their house?
Listen, let me tell you this, too. If Trump does that and runs around news like you said, somebody might be saying, is that all there is? Richard Spann, Charles Ellis, always a pleasure, Charles.
Hey, pleasure, brother. Pleasure, Charles.
Okay.
All right, brother. Take care, Richard.
All right.
Two great guys, Charles Ellis and Richard Spann. That's wonderful. Thank them both for coming out. We'll be talking, of course, about it tomorrow as to what really happened. All right? Stay with us now. Let's go to Robin Lewis and get the latest in the traffic and the weather, and then we'll get